Commander?
Orbital 1701, ready to maim, murder, and kill on your command, sir.
We are here to hunt. We are here to kill. We are here to survive. Lead the way, son.
Alright, this was a very, I guess you could say, interesting movie. It is called Breach, and it is a sci-fi, low-budget, small-project film. From far as I could tell. The director is John Suits. His last name's not Suits, but that's what we're going with because I don't have time to go back and autocorrect. Autocorrect this bitch. What are you gonna do? But I never heard of him, and I never seen his stuff. There was a one called Pandemic that looked interesting, but it kind of annoys me from the trailer because it's from what you would see from the eyes. First person, I guess you could say, I believe it's called. But this stars Bruce Willis. Yeah, I know. Another Bruce Willis side film. He's more in this for sure. And Thomas Jane. And Rachel Nichols, the only movie I seen her in was as Scarlett in G.I. Joe, Rise of Cobra. I think she did a good job in that. I didn't really recognize her in this because usually I've seen her with red hair or blonde hair. She has like just dark brown hair in this. So, and I couldn't really get her acting skills out of this. The plot of this is a select group of humans are evacuating the Earth because there's a virus going around killing people and infecting people. And so they found this planet, which they didn't touch upon their lead up to that, but they're going to another planet that they're, I'm guessing, calling Earth 2. Or a New Earth, or whatever, because they joked about it in here. And so, as they're in space, and I want to point out, I don't know if I pointed out, these are selected people, so there's like 1,000 or some on here. And so there's people on Earth that were not happy about it and want to try possibly to destroy them because they didn't want them to go to another planet and destroy them. And there's some political stuff to it, and obviously some other reasons, and just all kinds of different reasons depending on the group of people. But this alien that was released into it by one of the crew members was in this little vial thing that was in the. What is it called? I don't know what it's called, but I had it written down, but I can't find it for some reason. But it's in the main power room with radiation stuff. And so when they go forward through time at warp speed, the whole thing heats up and it cracked the cylinder that it was in the wall, and it came out. And it was like a little worm that's pretty thick as a hot dog. And it goes around, infecting people while it's eating them. So this one guy, that the first victim, he drops his beer, and it goes into the beer bottle, and he drinks it. Now, I'm pretty sure they span that out a little bit between him picking it up and after him dropping it. But I'm also kind of like, it's the size of a hot dog. So you would think once he put it in his mouth, he would know, but then it would also force down his throat pretty fast. But what actually, and that's not necessarily a big deal. That's more of a nitpick, I guess you'd say. But the whole thing where just automatically he explodes, like it just explodes like a balloon, and there's no guts everywhere. It was really fake looking. And then they have the monster panning towards him without actually showing the monster. And he, not him, but a guy that was in the room with him, and he affects him. Now, off the bat, I noticed right away that the side effect, the CGI of all these things, from the space to the ship in the space to when they go into the hibernation room. You know, when the guy brings his girl in there, the pregnant girl in there, who's also the daughter of Thomas Jane, and they bring him in there, and it's like it's like they put a green screen, but it was like really bad template or something they put there. I don't know exactly outside of templates when it comes to green screens, but they put something there, and you could tell it was like a wall. Even though it was supposed to be inside this long room, sanitized room with all these sleep areas for hibernation. It was really fake, and it was just like the whole CGI was just really bad. Now, the other thing is that they have these lights in these hallways, and the hallways are actually pretty cool. They're pretty realistic most of the time. But they have halos on all of them, and I thought that was a little bit, I don't know if they did that on purpose or what, but it was definitely kind of annoying to see that stuff, as you imagine. Definitely the money went to mostly the sets and the set pieces. The clothing, costumes and the sets. Because the sets were definitely real good. I imagine they reused a lot of them, The acting in here was definitely... It was... There were a couple people in here who had okay acting, and then there was ones that were pretty bad. There was the second-in-command guy in here who was the dick. When he would jail because of the way his mouth is, kind of has a... like this, kind of like that. He would yell... and when he would yell at the people, it sounded so bad. It was just bad. And there's a lot of the acting in here that were not, the main actors was like god awful. And you could definitely tell they had a lot of, people thrown in the background, which, it's not necessarily a bad idea. It's just that you want to make it not too obvious. Now, from the explosion was, I thought, the worst part of this movie. No. The worst part that actually I was literally kind of laughing a little bit because it was so ridiculous is as soon as they fired their custom-made space M16s, I was laughing. It was hysterical. You could tell that they were moving it instead of the actual realistic if they used blank guns, which use real powder, which the muzzle climb of it. If you don't know, the muzzle climb is when you fire and I could be wrong on this, but the back of the fire goes back and the bullet goes forward, and so as soon as that happens, the muzzle climbs. So when you get a full auto or semi-auto, it goes up like that, and you have to keep pulling it down. You could tell that they were going like this, and then on top of that, the muzzle blast from it was pretty fake. As you can imagine, as I said about the CGI, that was pretty fake. The blood was pretty realistic. I would have to say even the alien blue kind of slimy blood was pretty realistic. But then again, I don't know what the actual alien blood looks like. We have so many different versions of it in movies, we can't really tell. But it's your typical either kind of bluish green with slime in it. Like I said, it had a lot more Bruce Willis in this compared to other movies of these side projects. But in the end, it's another Bruce Willis movie that's the past 3 years that has either been a high budget that's bad or okay. Doing it for the money. He definitely did a little bit better than normal in here. I would say definitely out of all of them, he's the second best next to the the main stars other than him. If you know what I mean. It's just like, it was okay, but it wasn't like as terrible as it used to, as the other smaller films. He wasn't necessarily phoning it in. Now, Thomas Jane was definitely phoning it in. Now, there definitely was a cool part in there, and put it at the beginning, so but it was a really cool part. I thought kind of cheesy though at the same time. I love the uniforms and stuff, but it wasn't a very good movie. It says it's a sci-fi kind of, it's a low budget fan film, but I would say it's like a really, really low budget fan film. It was something like if you had money for the set, that type of money, and the uniforms were bought like at a surplus store, because they tend to have a good amount of deals there. But you just, most of your money goes to Bruce Willis and some other big stars, and all this was just made, let's say, in a warehouse you bought for cheap. Again, the sets were great, but I mean, where else would you have this much places of it? All these sets. A big warehouse, it's cheap. Maybe some other places thrown in there to, do that. I don't know. I don't make movies, so what it also came off is a really bad rip-off of the Alien franchise. More specifically the ones today, modern ones. I honestly was a little bit bored. The highlight of this movie, I would say, is the story was kept me going a little bit. It was very interesting of an idea. I think most of everything else that was the downers was definitely throw me off in this movie. I hands down give this 2 out of 5 axes. Let me know in the comments below. Have you heard of this? Do you agree with me? I imagine you do. Tell me if I did anything, said anything wrong. Is this not a GoFundMe movie or something? Because it's not good. It's not good. But anyways, I please like and subscribe. I love you all, and Skull.